We are live. Well, we're recorded.
Yeah, I was going to say we promise not to dub anything in.
Maybe I'll dump one thing in just to like.
So we're not live, but
we're not live, but we are recording in person.
Yes,
at separate houses. It is June 7th, 2020. I'm Randy here at Ovation Music and Studios, and I have with me Mr. Aaron Keene.
Yep.
At home.
That's me.
We are doing lessons in the store now, so we're transitioning into being fully open. So it's really nice to be getting back to normal. How are you feeling about getting back to normal? Is it feeling okay so far?
Yeah, man, it's good. I'm really appreciating. It's funny, like doing lessons in person again after having so many online. Like I'm not completely a purist about it. I thought teaching online stuff taught me a lot of new things about like how I approach things, like visually, like from like the camera shot and everything. And I had some students that it worked out really well with, and then some that it totally did not. And then, like compared, and then you meet them in person again, like we did for the past week or two now. And it's kind of like, oh, right. I can be like, well, I want to say I can be emotive and expressive, but because I'm wearing a mask there, it's weird. It's kind of like, do you know if I'm happy? Can you tell? Like, am I angry?
I've learned that eyes say a lot.
Yeah.
In person. Over the camera, like with my eyes, don't say anything over the camera because all I can see is the lights flashing off of them.
Right. Yeah, that's a whole different problem.
Maybe we'll get the glare worked out. But today we did want to come at you guys with some tips, tricks, ideas, some in-depth analysis of Sweet Child of Mine. It's a pretty popular song, wouldn't you say?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I think I could go to, at bare minimum, all 50 states in the United States and put this in my playlist if I wanted to play top 40 music that people would dance and sing to.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean...
I don't know about the rest of the world. Some of you guys will have to comment on that. I've never played Guns N' Roses in Europe. I don't know if it works over there. I'm sure it goes fairly well. This record sold about 20 million copies or so.
Mm-hmm. This is
Appetite.
Appetite for Destruction, yeah.
Yeah, you don't even say the whole record. I didn't even know it had a real name.
Right?
So we've got, Slash on guitar, and it's the famous exercise that he wrote.
Yes.
Now I always use this in all of my lessons with all of my students when they're ready to start practicing with their pinky, and I force a really cool fingering on it where you play 1 pinky 3. And you're kind of like walking your fingers underneath, inside, and outside of each other the whole time. So you got that pinky moving the whole time. It's really just a great exercise on that. Slash does not play it that way.
I was about to say Slash is
it's just 3 fingers. I always thought he played it that way because I never watched him do it. So when we said we were going to do this, I went and looked at some videos, and he definitely plays it just 3 fingers. Long bass.
Yeah. So like and it's great if you want to use your pinky to like learn to kind of like teach your pinky some stuff too, for sure. I definitely have used that.
I think the pinky fingering is more relaxed personally.
Really?
I used it small. It's really hard to. I'm on a Les Paul, and this is short scale. Les Pauls are shorter scale than Strats and stuff, and this stretch is a lot of stretch for me.
Oh, okay.
This is way more comfortable.
Okay. Well, I know for me, I definitely would do it Slash's way, like just for mine, but it really does depend on your hand size and fretboard and just what you're used to feeling. Like, and not because, I use my pinky all the time. It's not a strength thing for that, but I like it just because my ring finger is generally
stronger,
more reliable. in like
Yeah.
in live situations. I would trust my ring finger over my pinky for just having the power.
And
Um,
accuracy,
yeah. It's
timing.
like, yeah, and I could totally like I could do it either way, and I have, but like um, I like ring finger. But sometimes if I have students that never use their pinky, I might be like, hey. But yeah, this was an exercise, right? That's
Yeah, it's
slash.
an exercise, and there's two elements to the exercise. The first element is timing the pick with the fingers. The fingers on the left hand are always lifting and pressing separately. There's never two fingers down at the same time.
Mhm.
And the pick has to coordinate down, up, down, up, down, up the whole time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so so you got the big string crossing. So the first motion here, you're on the D string, and you got to skip the G string and play up on the B string.
Right.
And then you got inside. So you got
Mhm.
E string to G string inside picking. So down on E, up on G, which is a very difficult technique. Lots of people have written exercises where they just practice doing that.
Yeah,
And even I have even stretched them out where you go all the way to, because it's really hard to do, and it's really hard to time it properly with the other fingers.
yeah. Do you
You're
know if
picking.
Slash does it that way?
Live, it looked like he's playing down and up. Now he
Okay.
uses a pretty wide right hand stroke. It's a little bit of a flatter angle. It
Right.
kind of he's really good with his left hand muting. So
Yeah.
he always has a finger flat or a thumb over the top. There's never two strings ringing. He's really good at that.
Yeah.
So you get more of this kind of, I can't mute that well doing that. I have to grab some of the muting on my right hand.
Right.
And play a little more accurately.
Yeah. To do that in true alternate picking is certainly going to teach you a lot more about picking technique. Like it'll teach you a lot of different new positions.
Yeah, and it's not super fast. Though live they are 20 to 30 beats a minute faster than the album, but the album's not incredibly fast. It's not virtuoso speed or anything.
Yeah. Maybe I cheat.
Now you can do it all downs. It's definitely slow enough to go all downs or half down up, split on, sweet pick a couple strings here and there.
My cheating self would do down up down down up down up down, like or sorry, down up down up down up down down up down up down, yeah,
up down on those,
which leaves you a lot of double. Yeah,
it feels like playing a paradiddle on drums.
Yeah. Really actually, it is kind of like that.
It's messing with my brain. I've never thought about playing a pick stroke that way. That is a great exercise, guys, man. If you want to stretch your brain out, practice paradiddle. So paradiddle is right, left, 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 or vice versa. I don't know how drummers, you'll have to comment and tell me how you're supposed to lead them and how the timing works and the accents. But you could do that with your guitar pick: down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down.
Yep. I think this guitar intro is so iconic, and I have heard many new guitarists butcher the ever loving crap out of it.
I've done it. I've done it, man. A million.
And yeah, like I hear it happen all the time, and I think it's I would be interested to know Slash's way versus other ways of doing it comfortably. I think there's maybe more than one way to skin a cat in this in terms of picking technique, but
yeah,
right, it definitely, if you are somebody out there, you are working on this intro on guitar, and you're like, man, I just like, because I hear boop bop bop boop clack clonk clack clonk, and like the last parts just die. What happens is like they're trying to alternate, but they're not changing between down and up, like pick slanting, or like they're not doing a little bit.
They're not rotating their pick slant. Yeah.
Yeah, so they're not, which is what you were talking about, doing it pure alternate picking. So if you're trying it pure alternate picking, there's a chance, and if you're trying it pure alternate picking, and you're going boop bop bop boop blah blah blah, and like the last 3 or 4 notes sound like total garbage, you might need to consider how your forearm is rotated holding the pick.
Yeah. So on those last 4 notes, if I exaggerate it, my pick is going down, and then my hand is turning backwards. and it's a real small motion. I'm not doing it that large, but I'm definitely rotating my wrist.
Yeah, you feel that
angle.
doorknob turn a little bit whenever you have to do an upstroke, but then head for a thinner string, or do a downstroke and head for a thicker string. You feel a little bit of that, turning of the doorknob.
Well, one thing I notice when I hear this, and I hear it live and on the record, is the timing is ultra precise. It's almost quantized precise.
Yeah.
And because of that, I want to go down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, because that helps me personally keep time better. As soon as I do two downs, there's going to be a little bit of a lag or a speed up or.
Yeah. Yeah. Doing that constant alternate picking is, it's like, it can make you really consistent. But man, the string crossing mechanics of pure alternate picking that riff are not like you have a lot more things to solve, I think, which can really help grow your technique.
Absolutely.
In like being the pure alternate picking kind of playing, which is not always what I go for, but
no,
my lack of discipline. But
yeah, arpeggios, pure alternate picking. You really only have one person that I can think of that does that a lot, and that's Steve Morse. So you guys can go check out Steve Morse Too Many Notes, or basically anything Steve Morse. He does the alternate picking arpeggios better than anybody that I can think of off the top of my head. I'm sure there's some underground people that do it, but I mean, Vi goes to sweep picking at a certain speed. Malmsteen sweep picks almost all the time, though I have seen him do the alternate picking. Satriani goes into tapping and sweep picks instead. And Paul Gilbert said, I'm just going to use two separate strings entirely and hammer on and pull offs with my big hands.
Yep.
So yeah, there's all kinds of different approaches, and that's what this is an arpeggio. We're taking a D chord, and then we're taking a D over E in place of the C, and then a D over G in place of the G chord.
Yeah, it's like when you play that riff, the first note of the riff, it's like the root of the first chord, and then it's the third of the C chord, and then it's the root of the G chord, and whatever that. So you've got the very first note changes every time,
and then the bass comes in.
And then the bass comes in. Yes, Mr. Duff McKagan, right? Like he was still.
Yeah, he's a rocking bass player, man. Especially live, man. These solos are spot on live. From what I could find, really good player, and interesting because the bass player changes the roots of all the chords.
Changes the roots of all the chords.
Or changes the note that's being played on bottom. It's a D chord, but he's not necessarily playing a D on the bass.
You mean in the song, like for the
just in the intro, in that little intro solo, because he kind of plays a solo instead of a bass line.
Yeah, I'll play the solo real quick, right?
Yeah, let's check it out.
I'm the one holding the bass, so hopefully you can see everything here. But
I don't think Zoom's gonna let me comp in time.
No, sorry, everybody. It'll be one instrument at a time.
So bass players notice that he starts beat one off on the root every single time.
Yes, he establishes that.
He establishes the root first really strongly and then plays his licks. That's interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and there's a nifty little thing for those. Like the beginning we have the, hopefully you can see it in frame. This right here, just 1 3 1 3 4 5 6 5 4 3 1. You'll find a lot of fills here. He puts 4 as a connecting thing. Even when we go to the C chord here, we have C, and then the 5th of C, and then 4 3 1 4 3 1. And this 4 right here of C is not in a D major scale, so you get a little moment where it steps out for a second. It's pretty nice. And what's funny is that the vocal melody will use an F sharp over the C in different parts, but the bass line will use an F natural under it, like as part of the like the feeling underneath it.
Yeah, and so then, the C chord with the F sharp is kind of like.
Yeah, which you don't
Real
feel it.
ominous. I love that. And then the
Yeah.
C with the F natural is a little bit more. Something more you're used to hearing that kind of suspension.
But Axel does like vocally. Of course, I'm not gonna attempt to sound like Axl Rose or anything, but
I'm
to
not.
just talk about his
Okay.
to just talk about the notes that he sings over it. He does like a blue kind of feeling on some of these,
Okay.
in varying degrees. But the beginning, the she's got a smile, it seems to me, the me. Every now and then you'll hear that little like, which does give it like it's a flat 3-2-1 thing.
Yeah, that's FED.
And it reminds me of childhood memories. Your memory. That note there, slowed down. That's the F sharp over C.
So he plays the F over the D and then the F sharp over the C chord. That's interesting.
Yeah, so the melody creates the memories, which is great melody writing against a bass note. If you ever want to, like, if you're ever listening to like a song and the melody has like a great amount of tension, it is almost always because of its relationship with the bass note. Even the chords that are in the middle, of course, they have an effect on it, but very often the most like the gut pulling feel. And this song has a great. Sorry, I'm jumping from the bass part to the melody for a second, just because.
It's okay.
Because when you think about a really good melody, because it happens in a lot of places, but she's got a smile and it seems to me reminds me of that note of against the that's the root of the song. That's D. Well, adjusted for half step down tuning. Yeah, it's D over C.
Yeah, we are down a half step. They play this down a half step. So for you guys who don't play fretted stringed instruments, we don't change the terminology based on what we're actually playing. We call everything on guitar based on the shape of the chords.
Yeah, that was my bad. I would normally open
for all you violin players, piano players, if y'all are watching this,
and you've been screaming at us up until this
down a half step, okay?
Yeah. We are down a half step tuning.
So this is actually a C sharp chord.
Yeah. Actually. Sorry, forgot to mention that. But there are a couple of so like if you think about she's got a smile and it seems, that's like those are all kind of very nice fitting 5-5-5-5 4-3 or 3-4-3.
Yeah.
But then it seems to me reminds me of childhood memories. You get this like which octave, obviously 2 octaves lower, but you get like this relationship against the bass note that feels really like really tense, really cool. And like but the bass player underneath, he's got this little, so like adjusted for half step down tuning, the bass player's riff kind of, it includes an F, like a regular F natural in it, adjusted for half step tuning. And then the vocal melody uses an F sharp in it. So like there's like this weird thing that like, man, those two things, especially if they occur at the same time, should feel clashy.
Yeah, usually guys, you get F and F sharp at the same time. Right. I mean, you know, that's the sound. That's that sound, that minor third, major third at the same time. It's harsh. It's really harsh. Usually it's done with the minor third and the 9. You get the extended 9 chord. In the metal scene, the metal guys use it a lot.
Right. So putting like an F to an F sharp next to each other, you know, there's tension there for sure. And you wouldn't think it would necessarily fit in the middle of a verse like this, but it's really just a thing where the melody and the bass, even though they have a relationship, they also function independently, like in terms of how the fills go. Like if you have memories of G, F sharp, E, D, and the of the bass part, I mean, you know, 2 octaves lower, that those notes, even though like an F and an F sharp are kind of occurring very near each other, they don't really clash because the octave, just like the bass is so much lower, and because they're just 2 separate ideas.
Have you tried can you do both at the same time?
Reminds me of childhood memories.
Yeah, that's like patting your
Memories.
head and
But
rubbing
but
your
that makes
stomach.
it where there's like, man, you hear like a higher octave. Man, so it actually makes like an F against a G and then an E against an F sharp, technically, in the timing of it. But whoo, we're on the, offbeat.
Yeah, that's pretty deep.
Too
It's a
deep.
little bit outside of where we were talking
Sorry.
originally, but um, you know, it's important
My bad.
to try and find these things. If you're not understanding that level of stuff yet, that's fine. You will eventually. I mean,
Yeah.
it's all
Yeah.
stepping stones.
Yeah, sorry. To bring it back in, all I'm saying is the melody against the bass note is really great in this song. Even the everything as fresh as the bright blue sky. When he says sky,
D F sharp.
yeah. So like he sings a note that isn't in the chord, sky. And when he moves down to 3, like it's like, oh man, that feels really nice. Someone might call that an accented passing tone.
Yeah, and that note, that G to F sharp, is in the background guitar part. So at that point, when he gets to that, no, that's still in the song. He's still playing just the D chord. He's not doing the sus yet.
Yeah, it's
But
just
in the intro melody, that's what he's doing, is that sus, sus, sus.
Yeah, that really is. If this song had a music theory theme to it, it
Sus
is
4.
called sus4.
Sus
Like
4.
the melody does sus4.
I want to play G to F sharp over and over and over.
Yes. So in the song, I guess here's another thing, and let's talk about the what key is the song in?
Well, do we really want to go down this road?
Well, I think let's not go.
Just so you know, how you write charts is going to matter. What area of the country you're in is going to matter. I've seen this song charted in Nashville, and a lot of guys write this chart in the key of G. This song is clearly in the key of D. It is in the
until
key
the solo section.
D mixolydian, right?
Yes.
D
yeah, I would say until the solo section. I want to say that.
What? I'll have to take a look at the solo. Yeah, the solo goes, but it changes keys entirely. The solo goes to E Phrygian major for a second, and then no, E harmonic minor.
Well, yeah. I mean, the chord generally, I'd say E Aeolian, like on the changes, whatever.
Yeah, we're not going to do the end of the song today. So for the up until the final solo, when they change keys, we're in the key of D major. We call it D mixolydian because it has the C natural in it and not the C sharp.
Mm-hmm.
And you can tell that from the chord changes.
Yes. And the other thing that really makes it feel like D, so not just because the chords start on D. And this is the same thing with Sweet Home Alabama and Sweet Child of Mine. Something about sweet here is like D ambiguity of a key center.
Can't you see is another one. It's the C, it's the SEE.
Yes, and there are a million country songs that go D, C, G, and then back to D. But the melody of this song is the thing that is the dead giveaway on why it is in the key of D to me. Even if the chords D, C, and G fit better labeling in the key of G, like home feels like D or D flat and adjusted. So because the way the melody resolves, like against it, it returns to D, and that's where the feeling of resolution is when it go like through each phrase.
Yeah, it's in D.
It's in D. Hey, everybody. Yeah, I mean,
I have seen it charted in G, but I was also curious as to why somebody was charting this song. So that's a whole other discussion. So some of these songs are really popular and everybody plays them. And one thing I ran into when we said we were going to study this song was I haven't learned this song since I think I learned it when I was 16 or 17 years old. I've probably been playing 4 or 5 years. And I never really relearned it. I just kind of played it the same way I did when I was 16. It's just better.
Right. Well, it's got more technique behind it.
And so the last week I've gone through and like reanalyzed it and went, man, I really don't play the song right at all. There's a lot of really cool rhythmic things that the band is doing that I've been missing. I love the holds on the chords actually in the verses. Just
that's the bass drive,
and just let the bass and vocals carry it. But
There's
then
some
when it
great
comes
bass
into
walking
that
too.
chorus, man, you get that. I mean, what a better rhythm guitar part than that? That's like if you were going to be a rhythm guitar player, that's the rhythm guitar part I want to play all the time.
Right, it's the one that feels like kind of like a solo, or like
But
it's one that
yeah,
is
it
like,
does. But it doesn't feel good if you play too much on the chords beforehand. I feel
yeah,
like.
yeah,
I feel like if you're strumming, if you come into that verse and you're going, then you can't play the solo in the chorus. You need to. It's going to
yeah,
change what you have to do. You're going to have to make a change there. So that's
yeah.
cool that they do that. So it goes from really not busy to super busy. And I'm not even sure Slash is playing the rhythm guitar part in the verses. I'm not even
Yeah,
positive that's him playing. I think that's the other guy, and I forget his name. So
well, in the
y'all,
studio
please
version,
forgive.
there's an acoustic strumming as well. Like
Oh
there's a,
yeah, is Axel playing that on the record? I guess Axel. There's no way he played on the record, right? Does anybody know?
I don't know. I don't
I've
know.
never heard him play guitar. I've seen him in pictures.
Oh yeah, probably enough to write a song at least. At the very least, he probably could. But I don't. Who knows? Slash is there. Let him cut it. You know. I mean, right?
Yeah, exactly. And the bass in that chorus. What is the bass doing in the chorus?
The
Does
bass,
it,
you've got the
is it just driving? Yeah, he's just driving pretty much, and then he gets to
driving and
full.
tiny
Yeah,
little walks.
yeah. He's just changing chords.
Mhm.
I feel like I just call those those like drum fills.
There's some great ones in the verse. The little like when the bass comes in full, even before the verse comes in, you've got the it's got this nice one.
Oh, that's great.
Or so there's like I like this little, you know, it's all about timing for that to make it land on beat one. But these little like bass walking stuff, I don't know. As a you know, if you're a bass player, like you can get a lot out of the song, not just the intro solo. There's lots of nice little walking.
Yeah, so
Little walk
can you
connecting.
take a second and explain why, if this song is so simple just to get away with, and people still enjoy it when I'll admit, people still enjoy it when you just do the bare minimum, get away with it. You play the lick at the front of the song and you sing the right lyrics. People love this song.
Right, right.
That's kind of all you have to do for the audience to enjoy it. Why would you want to take the extra step to go into this much detail with a song like this that you really could just spend as a pro? I can spend an hour learning the front riff and then go play it live and get through it.
Well, I think when people think of the song, and you can, you know, feel free to comment on like what you think like stands out the most with this song. But for me, like the vocal, I mean, it's Axl Rose. It's the vocal, like the power and the way that melody feels, and like nailing that, of course, is almost always the draw in a pop song. Like making sure that is good, but equally, like the guitar solo is, and the guitar melodies are so well known that I think, you know, you can probably get away with improvising parts of it. But you know, and Slash is somebody that improvises a lot live. And in this song, there are parts like on the "Where Do We Go Now" part, "Where do we go now?" and that little bit, he definitely ad libs more there. But when he plays the solo, it is pretty darn close to the
It's the
studio.
record.
Yeah, and so I
Every
think
single live
everyone,
recording I found, he played the solo the same. Every single middle section was almost exactly the same. I would argue with his fingerings on a few parts.
right? Well, you know,
His hands are just bigger than mine. I can't reach some of the stuff that
yeah,
the fingerings he chooses.
he's got some massive mitts for sure, but he's a big dude. So,
So
but
yeah, you know,
big,
I can almost break it down real simple for me. You know, so I think I was told once that you know it sold a million records because of the way it sounds on the record. So play it that way. You know
right.
it's good.
Well, yeah, you know, like I mean, and I don't mean to jump ahead into different parts of the song, but like in the solo, like it goes to changes after the heavy wah part.
Yeah.
We've got the on the Where Do We Goes, or it's got the you got that kind of thing. And then when it goes to like the parts that break down, like where he gets really quiet with the Where do we go now, like those little parts, the band has like different little upbeat hits going on from the C to D. It goes like, so you get that little like it leaves space there because it's like a chill moment. And then of course the or so what's that little part? Yeah, that little bit, right? So like there's
Full
also
voice as loud as you possibly can. It's
yeah.
incredible. I don't know. He's got so much power. I don't know if he still does, but man, if you watch the recordings from the early 90s, late 80s when this song was just coming out, was it in the early 90s or something? This late 80s on the album, but so there's videos from the early 90s where he's just spot on. You're like, I don't know how anybody can sing like that. It's incredible. But before that, we still get a final chorus where they change everything up. So every chorus, Slash plays. And there's some discrepancy in the first note of that. Every time it plays, it seems like that first note is missed or played differently. I don't know that it's, but that's another discussion. So in the last chorus, he does not do that. In the final chorus, before they go to the E minor section, the whole band plays hits. And that impact to me is so great that they leave out all the other parts of that section. They stop the bass line and just do the hits and let Axl really have some space there.
Oh yeah, because he has the higher stuff, the O's.
Yeah.
There's that,
It's excellent. And then after that, they go into the
Oh it's different than that.
Yeah, it goes into that solo where it's a little different.
Yeah, no, that part doesn't come in till after the right. Like that part doesn't come in till after the that doesn't come after the wah. That's the
yeah. That comes in after the wah.
The little
Yeah. I forgot you have that section. You have that mini first solo, and then you have the big wah solo.
Yeah, and that's like a 1-flat-6-5-4 thing. It does that, and then after the wah part, then you've got the then it goes to the
that's crazy
6-1.
Lot going on this song, guys.
Yeah.
So if you're gonna learn it, you try to get the licks right. Especially that opening riff is great. If you're a bass player, get that solo right.
Yes.
And then take a listen to how they're building the parts and how complicated each person's part is. The bass player's not really playing that as complicated when Slash is playing super complicated. And things are always pinging off of each other. They really do work well as a band, and each part has its place. And great melodies, man. If you want to learn sus4, the whole song, oh yeah, we can take a look at that second guitar solo. That's just a big sus4. That's the second one, actually. That's the second solo.
I like that one.
He holds the bend over the root. It's actually kind of hard with first finger and second finger. And just so you know, Slash does not finger it that way. He fingers the F sharp on the D string. The E down to the F sharp. I'm not really strong enough to get that in tune, man. I need to work on that. So this pulling an E to an F sharp on the D string. I'm playing a half step down with eights, and my hands aren't strong enough to pull that down. So I've got some work to do on my downward bends.
And I'm weird about it because I push up on a D string, which I know is not.
That is definitely easier.
Yeah,
I'm out of fretboard though.
Yeah.
If my string dives flat a little bit, I won't be able to get it up there.
Oh. Just pick a wider neck.
Pick a wider neck. I'll just play it on 7-string then.
There you go. Aha! That's how you do it.
If you play it
That's
on
how you
7-string, you can bend the D string up.
Take note. Oh my God.
Guys, leave us some comments and some questions. This has been fun. This will be part 1. We'll review a little bit later. We'll take a look at the back half of the song and all these.
Bust out that wah pedal for the lead.
Upside down. Yeah. I've got it set up. I haven't. I mean, that sound is so good.
Yeah, I was about to say. Give the people what they want, man. That's what the people want.
Well, I will get some work in on that. I have never learned that solo. I'm just basing it all off on bad memory right now.
Yeah, it's got some of my favorite. There's parts of that solo that are.
We'll do just that solo separate, guys. Let us know if y'all want to see that. Also, I see we have a request for some Nightwish at some point and James Gang. Well, maybe some of that.
Oh, that's right, James Gang.
Yeah. I know Aaron said Funk 49, but I was listening to some. I was like, "There's some stuff that's better." Funk 49 is great.
You don't like Funk? I love Funk.
I love Funk 49. There's just some stuff that's cooler to talk about.
Okay.
What was that first show?
Yeah.
There's your minor chord in our blues discussion. Minor 4/5.
No, that's a G chord. That's flat 7 over it. Or a 4 chord of the D chord.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's not that one, but it does happen. I wish.
All right, guys, give us some comments. Let us know what you think, and we'll keep doing them, man. This has been week 37,059 of quarantine.
Sounds about right.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
Like, comment, subscribe.